Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and then we come back here and talk about it. And today we're going to be talking about episode 5 through 9 of Odd Taxi, an anime that I chose a long time ago that was put in the chest, and we picked it out. So we are talking about episode 5 through 9. Next week, we're going to be doing 10 through the rest of them, 10 through 13, I think. And we're going to finish that anime, and we're going to give it a rating, and then we're going to move on to the next anime. That's what we do here. This is your first time watching, we go live on Twitch, twitch.tv/JulesTheHuman. We pick out new anime. You can suggest new anime if you give us 500 bits on the live stream, but I do not go on this anime journey alone. I go and watch anime with my co-host Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing today?
I am excited to talk about this next set of episodes because, oh boy, the plot sure does thicken.
A lot happens.
A lot happen. Again, like we were saying with this last set of episodes, like so much is happening, but so little is happening. But at the same time, in these episodes, I think we finally start to see all of these different narratives that the show has set up finally start to like kind of cross over and intertwine.
And there's a lot more going on than I thought it was going to have. There's a lot of little narratives, little things here, big things, and some stuff that you, if you miss it, you don't know what's going on because it does go kind of fast and it doesn't hold your hand to explain what's happening. It'll most likely tell you later on, but like for like little things, if you blink and you miss it, which is kind of crazy for an anime like this, because again, it's not like super actiony. I wouldn't say it's an action anime, but there's a lot of story stuff going on and some characters that I'm really beginning to like and some that I really dislike. And we'll talk about that for sure. But we got to get into it because we have 5 episodes. It was 5, right? 5 episodes to
Five
talk about.
episodes.
No time to waste. So what happens in episode 5? Don't call me an idol.
In
Let's
episode
do it.
5, we see Otokawa driving around the manager of Mystery Kiss, Yamamoto, while they pick up and drop off the different idols that are a part of the group. All while Tanaka is actually following around Otokawa. Yamamoto shows interest in buying Otokawa's dashcam footage, but Otokawa respectfully declines for the moment. Goriki and Otokawa discuss Goriki's clinic closing, and Kakihana is out for dinner with Shiho while she largely ignores him to interact with her phone. Episode 5.
So we get the introduction of Tanaka continuing to follow Otokawa. I knew it wasn't going to end, but he's like literally following him around. And this is the episode where Tanaka puts a phone. Well, not Tanaka.
He
He
like
asks,
pays off one of the Mystery Kiss members to put the phone in his taxi.
which was like a throwaway couple of pixels.
Yeah.
But if you missed it, like that, they didn't tell you that.
Yeah.
They didn't tell you
You
that.
see her getting the phone, you see her putting the phone in the cab, and
In the
the
tweet,
rest is
you get
implied.
to see the seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then later on, you see Tanaka checking the phone. He sees the GPS, and it's like, oh, here we are. But like, what did he offer her? Money, I guess, because that's what he has. I don't know, but so far we haven't seen a whole lot of the manager. We've seen him in one kind of role where he's just the guy that, token manager of a pop group, but then he's acting really suspicious because he wants the data from the taxi cam, from the taxi cam stuff.
We also do see him show up when Kakihana meets up with Shiho for the first time. They go to grab tea or whatever.
Yeah,
He's
but then
like
that became
he's off
nothing.
there in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get any resolution to that, but we did later on. We end up figuring what that
End
out
up
that
getting
is.
it.
Yeah. This scene was interesting because Shirakawa just comes up and says it that well, not in this scene, I don't know, but in this episode, that Shirakawa was the one that was stealing the meds and giving to Dobu to sell.
In this episode, it's Otokawa talking to Goriki about how he knows it's Shirakawa, but he's like, I'm not going to go to the police. I'm not going to make this a big thing. It's going to be embarrassing, and I'm better off closing the clinic for a while and just letting everything kind of smooth itself out and then opening back up at a later time.
Because Otokawa has this, he has this grand scheme, and we kind of see some of the plot and the strings moving in that direction. But do you think he's actually going to be able to save Gariki's clinic, get Shirakawa off the hook with Dobu, which sort of happens, but then himself being okay with everybody and being able to just be a taxi driver? Like, that's such a huge thing and a lofty goal that uh,
This
mm,
set of episodes gives us so many, like, it opens the threads up more than it helps us tie them up.
yeah. So I'm asking you, like,
So, yeah,
do you think he can do
it's
it?
man, if he can, he's the most resilient taxi driver that country probably has, because
Yeah.
those are some crazy odds. He even kind of like, at one point in the ninth episode, the last one we'll talk about, he kind of has a line where he's like, "Hey, it is not looking good. Like,
Yeah.
these are the really bad odds I'm up against.
I'm in
For
danger.
yeah, I'm in danger." So, but I care about this person. I care about these people that I'm willing to put the risk in for. So
Hmm.
I honestly want to think that things will resolve fine, but I think Odokawa is going to end up worse off for having to take the heat to save the people that he cares about.
Because he also has to save Kakihana, which ultimately ends up to this whole thing in these couple episodes. And I knew it was going to go down that way, but why do we have to push? Like, Kakihana just seems like such a loser here for sure. With, I mean, it was really funny the way he was
Ye-
like not doing the proper things at dinner, but you
Yeah.
can tell he didn't have any money, but she was just like, ah, whatever, let's keep doing this so I can steal his money ultimately. But like, Kakihana's bringing down his friend, like
Yeah.
Odokawa. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
And
I don't know.
Odokawa tries to warn him, like, "Hey, don't you think you are like gonna? Isn't this fishy? Doesn't something smell fishy here?" And he's just like, "How dare you question
And he buys her a ring.
my love for
Um,
an 18-year-old
yeah, an
girl,
18-year-old little cat girl that
calico
he's
cat."
gonna, yeah, he wants to marry. We also see that Taichi, the viral hippo, vows to kill Dobu. He's only growing his YouTube channel, and he continues on to that. So, episode 6, let me hear you say, what the hell? What happens in episode 6?
Um, so Amai, the Mystery Kiss superfan, thanks Otokawa by bringing him to the cabaret club and covering the whole tab for him. Because the numbers that Otokawa passed off to Amai actually had him win the lottery. He's won 1 billion yen from
Yeah.
the lottery. Tanaka shows up at the cabaret club and fires a gun off into the crowd, which has everyone fleeing the building. Otokawa also finding someone had broken a window on his taxi. Shirakawa waits for Otokawa to return home, where they have a conversation. Shirakawa revealing all of the connections and reasons she is involved with Dobu and Gariki's clinic shutting down. We see Kakihana taking money from a loan shark before also seeing the Homo sapiens leave the studio for the night, Baba being the one to receive admiration from their fans. Dobu and Otokawa join forces to take down the Skull Mask Guy and Kabasawa. Baba from the Homo sapiens is shown to have a connection with Rui from Mystery Kiss.
Ooh. And
And
then he watches as Baba
they
takes
just
his like,
they just had to put salt on the wound, salt and
yeah.
lime.
So
Like,
that, I want to talk about that first, I guess.
uh-huh.
But but first, CZ with 500 bits over here on Twitch. Um Moon Rider writing in to suggest erase. The citizens need me. Let's hit the road. CZ, thank you for the 500 bits.
Thank you,
We
CZ.
appreciate it. Thank you so much. That goes to me and Matt. If you'd like to suggest an anime like CZ has, it's 500 bits on the Twitch stream. 500 bits to add erased. So put erased into the chest. Hello, CZ.
The chest
Thank you
goes.
so much. Thank you so much for the 500 bits. Appreciate it. Erased. That's a good one. I haven't watched it, so super excited. Um, Tanaka comes. Okay, I wanted to talk about that last scene
Yeah.
because he's the one that really wants the
Yeah.
life that he has, that Baba has. Baba seems to be living the good life now, where he
Hmm.
has the girlfriend, sort of a the next up and coming pop group. He has his own show. All the fans are there for him, which makes me think that this guy, what is he? Is he what
A boar?
Timon or Pumbaa was? Which
Yeah,
one's the
like
boar?
a wildebeest,
Yeah, something like that. He's a little
something
guy.
like that. Yeah, he's a little guy.
I think,
Because that's and it's so funny because the first time you hear them talking on the radio, he just has more presence.
yeah,
But then when they after they sit in Otokawa's cab for the first time, and then they get out, and you just see like the height difference.
the
That
height
that made me
difference. Yeah,
chuckle the first
yeah.
time because it's like that's not how they carry themselves, at least
I
on
think
the radio.
because we don't get a whole lot of their story later on about this character. He runs into people
Yeah,
sometimes, but
kind of
like
it
he's
kind of
not.
tapers off.
It tapers off for that, but I think he's gonna come back and he's gonna side on the bad side. I think he's gonna help out Tanaka somehow, or he's gonna end up trying to kill
I mean,
Baba or
he's
something.
interacted with Tanaka twice because he actually interacted with Tanaka in the club without realizing it was the same guy that he
Exactly.
saw on the street already.
He just saw him as skull mask guy with a gun.
Warthog.
Warthog. Thanks, Sponge. Four. And I was a young warthog. Yeah, the song. Forgot about that. He looks like a warthog. I think that's what he is.
Who said wildebeest? Come on.
Oh.
Sorry.
um.
Anyways, yeah, but I like, again, from the start you see that he has this passion. He always takes things to the next level, but Baba, like, again, once he starts to kind of get off the rails a little bit, Baba's the one to kind of keep things running smoothly, and
Mhm.
he's the more like he seems like the more uh the producer puts it well when he meets with the producer, and the producer's like praising him like, oh, you're just so this and that. Yes, whatever the producer said, that's what
Mhm.
Baba is. And that's I feel like the show having something to say on real world entertainment, where it's not always the person who actually has the passion and the desire that gets the lucky breaks.
Sure.
It- Otokawa said that. He said, hey, you guys need some luck.
Yeah.
And what did Baba get? He got a lucky break on that television spot where
Sure.
then he just broke away because everybody loved seeing him on TV.
But then again, also in the whole idea of productions or shows or anything, I still think that Baba is replaceable. So I think he's expendable. The way that
Yeah,
the producer was like, "Yeah, I guess okay, we'll talk about it, whatever,"
sure.
because
Yeah,
he's still in the back of his head. He's like, he's not big enough to where he's no Brad Pitt or whatever.
sure. He's
He's
not an
he's still
A-lister.
he's still big enough to where I
He's
can
an up
insert
and
somebody
coming.
else.
Yeah.
So either Baba's gonna kill or the Warthog is gonna kill Baba, or the Baba's gonna have some sort of downfall, and then Warthog homie's gonna be like, "I'm taking it."
When Rui and Baba are talking to each other, she says it like 2 or 3 times. She's
Uh
like,
huh.
"Hey, you don't need to get that big."
Yeah.
So do you think that she might have something to do with undermining whatever he might have
Oh,
going
she
on
might stop it.
to keep him in her place as he puts it, her pet? It's like, "Are you sure
Yeah,
you don't just see
because
me as your pet?"
that's what he kind of is to her.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she has all the passion, she has the drive, and stuff. I like them. I that was something I didn't expect, and I was like, oh, this is cute. They're a little couple.
But, like, yeah, but do you think that she, I don't know, like,
I don't know.
has
We only had like
is
one
well
scene.
intentioned on, yeah, true. We
Everything
only get
else
one scene with them. Yeah.
everything else we saw has me thinking that she's not well intentioned. So I would assume that she's just has him there, and once she gets higher up, she's gonna
On
dump
to the
him or
next guy.
whatever.
On
But
to the next
like,
guy.
yeah, that's what they're showing me. But again, we only had one scene with them together. We started at the end of the episode, but
We
Tanaka
did.
came to the cabaret, and the one scene that I really liked that showed a lot about Otokawa without saying it. Otokawa, when he was running away from the cabaret, he thought for a good second. He thought about turning around and helping, but he kept on running. And does that like show that he's not the hero? That as like to me, that's what it showed. It showed like he, no matter how much he wants to say like I'm okay with dying. I'm fine with dying. It's whatever. He constantly shows that he actually wants to live, and it opposes everything that he tells people. And it kind of comes up in conversation a few times too, because even that little he was running away from the cabaret. He's scot free. He heard the gunshot go off, and he paused, and it was like, do I turn? Do I go? And they spent a lot of time on that. I was like, oh, like this shows his character because he isn't what he says he is. And I think even though he didn't show compassion in that moment, he showed compassion to himself. And he likes himself more than what he says and tells people. So I think that's sort of like a little point to be made that Otokawa isn't all bad when in regards to how he views himself. I just thought that was interesting.
No, yeah, that's a really good point to bring up, honestly. I I think that it also like kind of there's something about like in the moment, like the fight or flight versus being that bystander syndrome, I guess. That could also have something to do with it where like
Mhm,
once you're enough far disconnected from a danger, it's not like yours anymore. But in the
mhm,
moment, you have to kind of like confront that immediately. And when Dobu was pretty much pointing a gun at his back, that's why he's saying, like, I'm not scared to die.
mhm.
Maybe, but then we find something else out in the next episode that could
Sure.
also kind of change up with
Yeah.
the whole thing that might be going on with his brain.
Yeah. Okay. Before we get there, in this episode, we find out a lot about Shirakawa as well. That Shirakawa and Dobu used to date for 4 years, and she owes him a lot of money. And at the end of their conversation, Shirakawa ends up saying that I love you to
Yeah, she like
Otokawa.
confesses her love.
What do you think that was? Was it like, I don't know, was it real? Did she mean it? They
I
only spent a
mean,
little bit of time together. Was she just saying it to say it?
that's where I think one of those you've talked about the passage of time and having a good idea of how much time is passing in a show. And like Otokawa, we see him pulling out his like phone a couple times, and like they obviously interact between the scenes. They obviously like text
Yeah.
each other and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like it's hard to tell when the show isn't really set up to kind of play out their relationship. It's
Mhm.
set up to be this conspiracy, like multi-threaded story experience, but so that's where I feel like for me it fell flat, I guess.
Mhm.
I not that
Well,
I
it
feel
fell
like
flat
she's
for
lying, it's just
it,
I don't feel the emotional impact. It's like,
uh,
sure, like in the context of the show that might be fine, but I
well,
haven't been with them enough to feel that
it
happen.
fell flat for Otokawa too, because he
Yeah.
just said, "Don't talk to me again," or
Well, is
whatever.
that him building a wall to keep himself from emotionally because like honestly, it seems like him hearing that her and Dobu like dated kind of got an emotional reaction
Yeah.
out of him almost.
Mhm.
And he like as much as he has up to this point denied having like emotions or feelings for her, we see within this set of episodes that's not true and that he does hold some sort of capacity of affection for her.
Mhm. Episode 7, Trick or Treat. It's Halloween here in the city. So what happens in episode 7?
So Otokawa learns that episode 7. Yeah. Otokawa learns that Kabasawa is starved for recognition at his school and he is seen largely as a coward, returning home later to find that a shot had been fired off into his house. Kakihana gets a visit from debt collectors that he borrowed from. Otokawa convinces Little Damon to come investigate the shot that was fired into his house. Convincing Little Damon that something is definitely awry, he remains not completely convinced. Kakihana runs off to see Shiho. Shirakawa apologizes to Goriki in his clinic, telling him about Otokawa's plans with Dobu, and Goriki coming to the conclusion that Otokawa's trying to save the both of them. Kakihana finds himself getting abducted before we see Otokawa meeting Yano in Shibuya on Halloween. Um, Shiho tells Yamamoto that she doesn't want to run Badger games anymore. And then Otokawa and Dobu corner someone cosplaying as the Skull Mask Kid. And Kakihana is shown to be held prisoner by Yano.
A lot in
There's
this
so much
one.
in this one, yeah.
There's that Tanaka fired a shot. Oh, hello.
Double down,
CZ with another 500 bits,
stacking the odds.
stacking the odds in CZ's favor once again. Yare yare datse.
Not
It's your boy
Shibuya on
Jotaro
Halloween.
Kujo punching my way through thugs to let you know that Re-Zero, it's Cujo in time. Is it RE0? How do I say it?
I've always
I've
read
only
that as
read it.
Re-Zero.
Re-Zero. Please tell me if we're wrong. I don't know. But thank you so much for
I've
the
heard
500
good things
bits.
about Re-Zero.
Oh boy, 2 more CZ picks. Someone else has to put some more stuff in it. Oh, you get to put one in, don't you? Have you decided on that? Probably not yet, right?
Not yet.
You'll know by next week. But thank you so much, CZ, for the 1,000 bits. Jesus. Okay. Well, it's probably going to be a CZ pick.
Yada yada.
Probably. It's going to be a CZ pick for sure. Thank you so much for the next 500 bits. So many storylines here because we get Kakihana who owes money, the little Damon, big Damon conundrum. We got the Otokawa thing, and then we meet a new character who I want to talk about at the end. But let's go into this whole other thing. So Kakihana takes out a bunch of money to propose to his cat girl,
Dude,
which is wild.
what
He
kind of sense of logic? Like, that's just like egregiously, you are so out of touch with reality.
So the way they set it up is believable though, because he is like a 41-year-old that has a not great job, probably as a janitor. This is the way they set it up. It's not me, but like the way they set it up is that he doesn't like his job. He's like a janitor. He thinks he's a nobody. Even Otokawa says he's like a nobody, and he has nothing extraordinary in his life. And then he finds this 18-year-old girl that really likes him, he thinks, and he wants to show off that he has money. He takes out loans and he buys her a ring because she really wants to get married very soon. So he's like, yes, okay, cool. But it ends up that it was all a lie, for them to steal his money, but then he doesn't even have any money. So what's the point? The little Damon, big Damon thing is a super interesting line here, like an interesting story plot that has me thinking two things. Has me thinking that Big Damon had something happen to them, or he was the reason for something for him to change, because otherwise little Damon's convinced that his brother is really good. They wanted to be cops. They wanted to take down evil
With their own hands.
and yeah, and do that. I think he either had something to do with that car crash he looked back at, or I don't know. There was something to where something happened for him to change. It's not, I don't think it was innate. But then also, what makes me think that I don't know if little Damon has it in him to go against his brother, at least not yet. Because he's just denying, even when he got video evidence or whatever, he's still denying it, or audio evidence and stuff. So like,
it's like he could just be saying that because he's cornered.
Yeah, that's a whole interesting thread there. Yamamoto. Oh no, that's in the next episode. Oop. Yeah, Damon's parents were killed in a hit and run by a taxi. Is the big drop there for the Damon storyline. Now, either I think Big Damon has something to do with it, or he wants to take revenge in some sick, weird way or whatever. I don't know. There's something to do with his parents, I think, is why he changed. And he has a lot more bigger thing to play on that. We found out that the body was found in Tokyo Bay.
That is true.
Which we're going to get the results of that at some point, of who it actually was.
Yeah.
we didn't get it in these sets of episodes.
And then Little Damon was actually when he's like, "Hey, you don't mind if I just like look around your place?" And he was right about to open the closet of Otokawa's,
Sure.
and then he got the word that they were pulling the
Body was
body out of
found.
the bed. Yeah, so he had dip. But
Well, I do
they
want to talk about,
managed to keep that in the dark.
yeah, because I want to, we'll talk about that at the end because I think that goes into what Otokawa is possibly going through. I don't know. Um, but we meet a new character named Yano.
Who has been talked about a lot. We have heard about Yano since
So much
Dobu's first interaction with
because
Otokawa.
Dobu is his like enemy. They're both feeding money to the same boss, but they're
Yeah,
like rivals, sort of. Think Gary and Red or Gary and Ash from Pokemon or
yeah,
whatever, something like
yeah,
that. He meets Otokawa as they bump into each other,
yeah.
and he's rapping and stuff. What did you think of that?
It
Because it
it
was
threw me off very,
sure,
very, very, very hard at first, but I don't know, I kinda got used to it, and then I was just
yeah.
like, if this guy if this is him, sure. Like, if he really can keep me convinced that, like, this is this guy, sure. And at one point, it's when he's breaking down how he already knows what Dobu's up to,
Hmm.
in the next episode, I think,
Sure.
and that's where I was, like, bought in. I was like, "Yeah, this is him. This
Yeah.
is the guy. I believe it."
And everybody just kind of goes along with it because
Yeah.
they know it's him. Like they know that's what he does. And he was like rapping super fast and he was really good and it all kind of rhymed too. And I was like, okay, this is wild. This is a wild character. It really did catch me off guard because I was like, isn't that who it's supposed to be? I was like, that's Yano, right? And he's just kind of quirky. But then like when he is there talking to Kakihana and the words that he was saying and the thing about call your mom because you're not going to remember how to later on. That really made it so much more sinister
Yeah. That's
that
what I mean, like, that in that scene, I was like, "Yeah, that's I believe this guy."
yeah, it was just like he has the way that he's saying it, but it's just like a different kind of crazy, like a
Yeah.
different kind of like psychotic to where he's doing this stuff and he has no attachment to it
Yep.
and he's saying the little rhymes and stuff and he's like, well,
To him, it's
here you
just a
go.
little game
Yeah, and
for
it's an
entertainment.
interesting character. Don't know where it's gonna go. Where does
And
Yano?
I think it's a really good foil to Dobu,
Okay.
where, like, Dobu's very, like, grounded, collected. He seems to be, like, just calm, and
Eh,
he knows how to handle a negotiation, et cetera, et cetera. But then you have Yano, who's, yeah, like you said, he's like quirky, he's rapping, he's just having a silly little time. Like I see them as like opposites of the
yeah,
same person.
and it's even in their traits, right? Like Dobu has a lot of brute strength. He kind of goes at it a certain way where you can see Yano kind of using a methodical more tactic here because he's making his money doing these long game stuff where Dobu's like, I'm gonna rob a bank. And it's like, okay, cool.
Dobu Dobu is taking the sledgehammer to the wall himself, and Yano is, hiring people to
Yano's trying the handle.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
He's like,
Exactly.
well, let me check this real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good
Where
way of
Dobu
putting
was
it.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way their tact is going. It's really interesting. We find out that the manager was in cahoots with Yano, and what is well, the manager's a whole nother cloud, like a whole
Yeah,
nother cloud of mystery and what this person wants. Well, sort of. We kind of know what
and
they want, but like, what are they
Otokawa did a
doing?
really good job of with Little Damon, like,
Oh
sitting
yeah,
him down and on a piece of paper, like, just, "These are all the connections, this is what's going on," and to anybody who was lost up to that point, it's a really good recap for them.
that made more sense. Yes, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay. You saw a little circle here.
Yeah.
These people are going here. I was like, oh, this is great. I love
Yeah.
this. It's so simple, but I totally understand now.
Yeah.
So that's where there's so much here um that happens. Are you still along for the ride at this
Yeah.
point?
Yes.
Eight.
Like again, there's the first set of episodes like set up all the threads really well, kind of like running parallel to each other, but now they start to like overlap and intersect and weave in and weave out of each other, and I'm just like, what's going to happen next? Like, which two characters are going to be put on the screen next?
That's kind of what I like in shows like
And
Breaking
I
Bad or like Game of Thrones, to where you see these characters and these sets of people know this thing, and then one of these characters goes over here and talks to this group. How do they interact? What do they know? What don't they know? So like those shows like that really do it well, and I think this show is doing it really well because it's like, oh, he's here, what is he doing? And then like they interact and do a whole thing, and I'm like, oh, they don't know this, he's keeping it from them, or they're talking about this, or they're planning this, and Otakawa's doing his own thing and all this stuff. It's like so complex.
like, to draw another parallel, the boys, where it feels like Dobu could be seen as kind of like a butcher, and
Hmm.
then Otokawa is kind of like, I'm forgetting the actual main character's name.
um
But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, they have that just unwavering, like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend relationship,
sure.
even though Otokawa is ultimately out to like get Dobu.
Yeah.
There's that like ground
And
of respect that they kind of have for each other,
but
knowing that
then
they each hold certain cards that each other wants.
sure, it's them holding cards, but then if they flash all of their cards, the other person's gonna run out and be
And
like,
Otokawa tries to pull that a couple times, and then Dobu's like, no, 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 no.
yeah, we're not
And
doing
like,
this.
and then adds another variable, and then
Hmm.
Otokawa's like, damn it.
Fine. Here, just one more
I'll
job.
keep playing along. I'll
Yeah.
keep playing along.
Let's go into episode 8. Bless you. What happens in episode 8?
In episode 8, Yano reveals to Kakihana that they were playing him for a fool since the beginning. Dobu is let in on the fact that Yamamoto wants Otokawa's dashcam footage, telling Otokawa to charge him 1 billion yen for it. Then, picking up Yamamoto and Shiho, Otokawa feels like he strangely recognizes Shiho. Yamamoto is taken aback by Otokawa's offer of 1 billion yen for the footage. And then Kakihana is confronted by Shiho, who breaks character, calling him a broke bum,
Broke
before we
boy.
see Shirakawa having a conversation with Gariki about how Otokawa might have, sorry if I say this wrong, synesthesia.
Synesthesia, yeah.
Synesthesia. Um, Gariki recalling that they met via him riding in Otokawa's taxi one day, meeting up with Otokawa for drinks and asking him questions about pictures on Gariki's phone. Otokawa is confused by the line of questioning. Yano is shown to be antagonizing Kakihana while also breaking down how he already knows Dobu's plans. Dobu fills in Otokawa on the rest of his plans regarding a planned bank heist
Yeah.
before Otokawa picks up Imai, who makes Otokawa realize he did in fact recognize Shiho from earlier.
Whew. We haven't even talked about like the Mystery Kiss super fan being a a big plot device here as well. CZ with another 500 bits.
3 for 1.
Jesus Christ, it's gonna be one of them. I know it. Who's that dragging their ball? Okay, I didn't read it in my head before. It's me, Goku. Gonna Kamehameha Death Parade on that list of yours. Time to split. Gotta get them Dragon Balls.
Lovely. Thank you, CZ. Thank you for the 500 bits.
Thank you for the 500 bits, CZ. Appreciate it. We got Death Parade as well. Um, I usually read it in my head before, but I just looked and started talking. My mouth just kept going. Thank you for the 500 bits. 1,500 bits from CZ for Death Parade, ReZero, and Erased added to the list. Oh my god.
CZ with a
Whew.
three-peat.
3P here. It's gonna be one of them. I know it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Matt's dying now
I'm dying.
for that.
That caught me very off guard.
We haven't even talked about the whole plot device of the kid actually winning the billion yen that they are both gonna try and steal. That Yano is
Because
gonna
he
try and
posted
steal.
like, "Hey everyone, look, I won 1 billion yen."
Oh my god. I did not know. When we started, it was so odd to me that we followed these characters. Now it makes so much more sense. We followed what's his name? We followed Taichi, the viral hippo guy that I was like, what are we doing? He taking a picture with them, and then it became this whole thing, and it was so cool. And now he picked up the mystery kiss guy. He was like, give me some magic numbers, give me some lucky numbers. And then it's like, is Otokawa lucky? Does he what is I want to talk about that in a bit. But like, and then he becomes a lottery winner of billion yen. And now there's this whole plot. He's like, I'm gonna get a billion, and Dobu's gonna do it, or Yano's gonna do it, or somebody's gonna do it because he hasn't gone to give up his winning lottery ticket yet. And they all go through the same bank, and they both have connections to the bank, and they know that it's gonna happen. And now Otokawa has a duty to help the kid out or not. I don't know. But that's a whole huge plot as well. That's like layered in there. This kid that Otoka was the crux of so much of it, so
So
much of
much
all
of it.
these little stories. Um, we find out as well that Yamamoto has something to do with the body in the river because he does seem remorseful, or he's like, they're gonna find out something's gonna happen. So we
Yeah.
know that I'm
He's connected
thinking
to it somehow.
I'm thinking it's one of the kids, one of his girls that he tried to something. Like he probably had another group, or he had another little pop girl that he wanted, and she something. I don't know. It could have been the cat. But both parties are going after the 1 billion, and then he finally, or Otokawa finally realized in the main story that Kakihana's in trouble. But
Wait a second. Shiho literally says at some point, Rui just has the determination to do it. I bet she'd even kill somebody to do that. I bet she already has.
and that was
That just clicked.
and that was a big moment too,
That's
because
I
he's
mean,
like, "What do
it's
you?"
yeah, he's like, "What are you talking about?" And
Yeah,
then it's just they don't elaborate on it.
huh?
I'm just like that. Whew, that just jumped to the front of my memory
Yeah.
right there.
I mean, I believe it
Yeah,
that maybe she had something to do with it.
and
Huh.
maybe it was Rui and the manager, and now they're both in on this dark secret that they're sharing with each other, and that's why she's actually the front girl now. Uh,
Because she can rat him out at any point or something, and she was like,
Or
"Make
vice
me famous."
versa. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't think about that. Yeah, I didn't think about that at all. Yeah, because that was a moment. That was a moment when she said
My
it.
brain is melting right now.
Yeah, for sure. We get a lot of thoughts from Gariki about Otokawa, about and also from Dobu. Dobu was even like asking him about how he can spot people in crowds. He was like, "Do you sense their aura or something?" He's like, "I don't know. I just remember faces. I can just know that." And Gariki kind of explains that he thinks Otokawa has some sort of synesthesia. I've met quite a few people from college in the music industry that have synesthesia, that it makes them better at music because they can see a certain color when a note is played, so that makes them better and makes them know if they're on or off or whatever, which is really interesting. I cannot conceptualize that, but I was told by them that whenever they see an orchestra playing, it's just colors and wild and magic, and I'm like, oh, that's insane, that's really cool. So the combination of Otokawa may have synesthesia. He has some sort of sixth sense of him being able to spot people, and Giriki kind of uh, shows him that he has to see them first, and then he knows them sort of forever. He has this
Mhm.
huge memory because of this flashback. He's afraid of water. He can't sleep. There's something missing here for it to click, to where it's like, oh, and I don't know what it is, but what do you think is this whole little what's happening to Otokawa? What is that? what is he?
I mean, it's like the way they set it up, like when Goriki tosses the thing and says like we're gonna help Otokawa. Um, and it's like the what's it called? Like the CAT scan of his brain or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just then they also get into, I don't know if it's this episode or next episode, but they also get into the concept of him possibly inventing a imaginary friend.
Yeah.
Is
Because that's
that's
another
this
part.
episode, right?
Yes, because there's a whole
Um,
nother part that they talk about that we haven't actually touched yet about what's in his closet.
yeah,
Because uh we don't know what it is. We
yeah.
don't know if it's anything. It
But
could be
after Shirakawa brings it up, we one of the possibilities we have on the table is that he's just talking to his imaginary friend that he's had maybe in that home since forever. Because we also, there's also things revealed in the next episode that could help us come to that conclusion.
sure.
So maybe he's just been a schizophrenic since he was a child.
Mhm. I don't know.
Uh,
Claire says, I presume it's just like you seeing a rainbow as color. Your eyes see light, your brain makes that into color. Just switch eyes and light for ears and sound. Your brain is the bit making sense of everything. Yeah, it's something that not a lot of people have. That's like some extra brain function to where you can still have all your other senses, but then it's something else as well. Um,
it's more from what been made to understand before too. It's like it can also be like more of a sensation thing and not like quite a literal thing, but for some reason it can be literally
mhm,
like experiencing senses reversed or whatever.
mhm.
Yeah.
Schizophrenia. Do you think? See, I
I mean,
still
if uh, we have been made to believe that his parents like just left one day and he's just he grew up on his own or whatever, but later reveals have us
he's always alone.
yeah, that he's always been alone. So I mean, it makes sense for some sort of disorder to develop that would have somebody trying to preserve a sense of socialization after having that like normal part of it in the home life
Sure.
just stripped away from you at such a young age. If you were, and then I'm think it's revealed that he insists that he stayed alone. It's already been revealed he insisted that he stayed growing up alone, like he didn't go into a foster system or anything.
Mhm. Uh, but
I
what is
just
yeah, the whole being afraid of water thing, the him not sleeping thing, it's all adding up
that's
to
what I mean.
something,
Like,
but
there's
we
just
don't
too
know.
many other things. It's like, then you bring those things up, and then I'm just
Yeah,
like, it's yeah, like you said, there's one little piece that's missing. That okay,
yeah, and it's
and
coming,
there,
hopefully.
it's coming,
If it's
and I think
good, if the anime is good, it'll tell us what actually it is. But we got to keep going
we gotta
on. So
keep going.
that's what happens in episode 8. Otokawa's going to go and save Kariki because he finally realizes like, "Oh, I do know that cat and Kariki's in trouble."
Uh,
Um
Kakihana,
Kakihana, yes.
yes.
Sorry, Kariki. I said that. Episode 9, The Hero's Melancholy. What happens in the last episode we watched?
So in our episode 9, Otokawa continues to try to gain ground with Little Damon using the recorded conversation as leverage. Kabasawa is shown to be cracking under the pressure of a now huge audience who is calling his actions and motives into question. Otokawa is chased by Tanaka once more before he rescues Kakihana with the help of Dobu. Dobu gives Kabasawa a TED talk on self confidence after he fails to deliver justice to Dobu. Otokawa brings Kakihana to Gariki's clinic to help him recover, as well as to inform Gariki about his next moves to take down Dobu. Kabasawa uploads a video declaring his defeat and announcing Dobu's innocence, and Otokawa's landlord catches Gariki in passing, informing Gariki that Otokawa may think his parents are estranged, but they have already actually passed on.
So again, we bring up the little Damon storyline and the big Damon thing. This is where he actually is like, I don't believe it. I'm not believing it. I don't believe my brother
I
is
mean,
this
he's saying that on the phone to
Otokawa.
Otokawa, but we do see in episode 8 while they're in Shibuya, like Big Damon's kind of criticizing everybody, just like calling everybody whatevers, and Little Damon seems very dejected.
Sure, he's
Um,
like, "What are you
he's
what are
just
you
like,
doing?"
sure, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which makes me think he's thinking about it, but I still don't believe I think he needs to see it, which
to believe it.
sucks.
Yeah,
See it to believe it, but then again, I don't know if he has it to go against his brother, because I feel like Big Damon, once he shows Little Damon who he really is, Big Damon's gonna be like, "And you're in my way," or something, and I feel like that's what Big Damon has in
really.
him. Yeah, I think he has it. He doesn't let he
I
has
hate that you
shown
said that.
he has not shown that
Yeah,
he loves his brother at all.
I
He
hate
has
that you
not
said
shown
that.
anything. Little Damon is the only one that's like, "Oh, my brother. Oh, my
Yeah,
brother."
yeah, I
And
hate
Big
that you said that.
Damon, yeah, Big Damon
Sorry.
has not said anything good. He's just been
Damn.
going behind his back. So I think in the ultimate, if this storyline does come to a conclusion, Big Damon is gonna turn the gun on Little Damon, and I
Yeah,
don't know if
I
Little
was
Damon has it in him.
I was about to say I can already imagine during the climax, Little Damon standing there holding the gun pointed at Dobu, like, "The jig is up!" And the camera, like, cuts away and you hear the gunshot, and you see it's Little Damon that falls to the ground, and behind him, Big Damon also holding a gun, shooting Little
Yeah,
Damon in the back.
but the reason we don't
100% believe that.
Sure, but the reason we don't
Ah,
know is why, and I would like to know the why before it actually or after it happens. I hope we get the why of why he is this way, because we've seen some great stuff from Tanaka. We've seen the whole origin story of Tanaka. I'd like to see some a little bit because I know it's not as extreme as a Tanaka, but I would love to see some of that from a Big Damon uh, to conclude his storyline and to see like, oh, this makes sense. Because right now we don't have the why. We have a lot of flashback and we don't know. So I hope that hopefully that comes out in the end. But reoccurring again, uh, the one thing I wanted to talk about, Kabasawa sleeping with his followers, which is a big wild thing here that happened,
I
and I
was
was
just like,
not expecting.
"Whoa!" It's like, my guy.
I was like, "Who is this?" I was like, "Oh my god!"
He called her some mean words, and I was just like, "It's not that deep, my
Yeah,
guy."
yeah. He was like, he threw the fucking lamp.
Yeah.
CZ said, find out on the next episode of. I'm intrigued as to how this ends, honestly. It's so wild what's happening. It's so many intertwined stories. But the thing of Otokawa laying down the trap for Dobu later on by texting or emailing Kabasawa that, hey, Dobu's gonna be here, be a hero, fucking do it. The other thread of Tanaka still following Otokawa, still possibly going to the warehouse at the end. Um,
Dobu gets shot twice.
Dobu gets shot twice.
He
Well, he
gets
gets
shot in the
grazed
leg and he gets
once.
grazed once. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets shot in the leg and grazed one, and he was still fine. So he's a
Yeah.
beast. This is not what I expected from this anime going in. No, I did not know what to expect, but it's growing to something.
Yeah.
And a lot of a lot of these anime that we watch, I want them to be a great arc. And again, it always kind of ends up being, whether I enjoyed the experience or not, is if the ending hits.
Yeah.
And I feel like it will for this one. We've had some letdowns before, but like I don't know if I'm totally sold on like a casual watch of this anime. I don't know if I would like say to all of the anime fans, be like, hey, watch this anime. This is great anime. Because I do understand that it could be boring. And
Yeah.
there's some
This
points,
isn't an entry level
no,
type
there,
deal.
yeah, there's some points where I'm like, okay, we're getting more information. I'm like, okay, this is good because I know in my heart of hearts that it will end up really well. And that's me hoping so hard that it's going to end up in a lot of the loose ends are going to be tied. I'm going to get some big payoffs here for paying attention. But for an anime fan,
I've
I
had
don't know.
enough payoff episode to episode paying attention to things that honestly, even if there are some loose ends that I want to see tied up that don't ultimately get tied up, I think that the show overall has me like given me personally enough to say that I've enjoyed it thoroughly thus far, just off the setup and payoffs that it's given us thus far.
Sure.
let alone what the conclusion might be heading towards.
Dan says I'm late, but these last 5 episodes were wild. They
Yeah, that's
were
what we said.
They were insane. In case you're coming in late, you can see all of this episode up on YouTube on the next day or on Spotify if you watch youtube.com/JulesTheHuman. We have a lot of people watching on YouTube, which is really cool. So thank you so much. Hope you enjoy the show. But we're talking about episode 9 right now. Tanaka following everybody convening here onto the warehouse, and Dobu just being a boss. This is what he does. This is what he
Yeah.
does best. He automatically knew already that he can take him out. Like he went into that fight knowing, like, even though you have a weapon, I know I'm not leaving here dead, or I'm not.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be my place of death. And he went into the fight and he took him down. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of wild that he's doing all of this for Otakawa, but like it makes sense because he's gonna help him ultimately get all the money and rob the bank, is what he thinks.
Mhm.
I'll be watching on the full one on YouTube tomorrow for sure. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. Thank you. Um, Dobu. Another while we're on Dobu, he has this really interesting conversation with Kabasawa, and it was almost like I thought he wanted to recruit Kabasawa. Did you get those
Yeah,
vibes?
kind of.
Like, what was that little
It was
monologue,
it
like,
was
heart to heart?
it was literally like it felt like him saying, you weren't strong enough to embrace
Exactly.
the good, so come to the
Yeah.
dark side.
Yeah, it felt like that. I thought he was like, "Help me out. I helped
Yeah.
you out. I'm not gonna kill you." And who knows? It might end up that way.
But
You
that's
don't
but
know.
then yeah, but then he asks, Dobu asks Kabasawa, like, "Well, what do you have to offer me other than your life if you don't want to die?"
His
And,
car.
he doesn't offer, his service or, loyalty. He's like, I have these possessions I can give you. And then Dobu's like, "Oh, okay."
Do you
Like,
think
cool.
yeah, do you think Dobu would have taken him under his wing if he was like, I can help you in whatever nefarious deeds you want. I have a
I
big
don't
following."
know. I
Because
don't know how
because
Dobu doesn't have underlings already.
exactly. Because Dobu could have used Kawasawa
But
like
again, that I guess that goes back into the conversation about how we were talking about Dobu is not Yano and vice versa.
sure.
And
He
Yano's the
does it.
type to have the henchmen have the extra hands, but Dobu's the type to get his own hands dirty.
Yeah. Like me thinking of Dobu going in and him being the only one robbing the bank is wild. Because that's not how you do it. I mean, I'm never gonna rob a bank, but like that's not how you do it. I mean, the Joker had like 50 people deep in there. He ran a fucking school bus back there.
Yeah.
So like here Dobu in Dobu's mind, it's not clicking for me because that's not how my brain works. But he's like,
But
oh
then
yeah,
again, yeah, he's
I'm
he's
gonna do
not
it.
robbing the bank. He's gonna rob somebody who's gonna be holding a transaction in the bank.
Sure. So I guess in his head, yeah, that makes more sense. But yeah, we get this whole like super weird monologue. Hey, what's up, bud? Like, what are you doing, man? Like, what's going on? Like after when he's shot, because it was
He's
Tanaka.
literally shot.
Yeah, he's bleeding out. Tanaka, who we don't see, we just
He
see the
just yeah,
gunshot.
Tanaka just kind of disappears.
Um, he shoots Dobu, and then he has this whole heart to heart thing, and he gets him to film a video and say like, and he throws his phone away, and then his all of his followers are going to be gone. But he still has the hotel and the car, so he gives that to Dobu. So Dobu, I'm assuming, has an apartment, has a new car.
And has
What's
some money. He said, and
has
I still have some money.
yeah, and has some money. Um, we get to the big, I guess,
Ah,
reveal.
what
Oh, what?
Dan said
Oh,
right
Dan
there.
said, I
Yes.
think Dobu saw a younger version of himself in him and wanted to help him, but also like, you shot me, so you owe me. Yeah, because he didn't see Tanaka shoot him, so he still thinks that Kabasawa shot him because he didn't see the other person that was there. So yeah, that makes sense that he was like, "Hey, man, well, this isn't the road you want to go down, and you don't have the resolve, and you don't have what I had at
Yeah.
your point in life. So go
Yeah.
fucking do something. Go do
Yeah.
something with your life." Yeah, I see that. I didn't think about that, Dan, but yeah,
I
he
didn't
does.
either.
He does see himself in him. We get this whole Gariki going to Otakawa's house. We find out that Otakawa has been living at the same place since he was in 5th grade, and his caretaker, person that's been taking care of him this whole time, is a doggo. and she had one thing I did want to mention. She had a little baby dog outside.
Yeah.
Was that her dog or was
I
that
don't know
her
what the
son? Was that her
I
dog or
don't
was
know
that a
if that was
person?
dog or a son.
Because she's a dog
Thinking the
person.
same thing.
There
I
was a
was
little
like,
dog
"Where's it
outside.
Otokawa's dog? Was that Otokawa?
Yeah, I was like, wait,
It's not kind of bird." Like, Gariki was like, "Hey, what's this?" It's a bird.
yeah.
I don't know with the animal
It
thing.
made me it made it super weird because it was like, let your
It just
son
cuts
in.
away to that. It's
Yeah,
just
for
like,
a little while too. It's like, bro, your son wants to come inside. Fucking get him. I don't know. Okay, but that was really funny. I just had a moment watching it too. But we find out that Otokawa's parents are dead. That he's been at the same place since he was in 5th grade, in the same room,
and it was paid off. Like,
and it
he's
was paid
been
off.
living his
But he was
rent for
paying
life
her.
has been paid.
So
But
what's that whole thing
once he
too?
started making money, he insisted that he started paying, so she's just been giving the money to the foundation.
But what is that? That gives me more questions about
Yeah,
what is this
exactly.
foundation that had him paid for life? That what did his parents do? What happened? Is it paid by the city? She says she puts money into it
Social
still.
services?
Yeah, but like he's 41. Why would he have to pay unless there was
Because of his
something?
mental condition?
Yeah, because unless there was something different about him, for sure. Because they
Because he's
have
only
it.
been going to Greeky's clinic for, like, 3 years,
Yes.
so but Kakihana grew up with him, and Kakihana's never said anything about, like,
Kakiana don't know shit. He thought he was
"You're
gonna
right,
marry an
you're
18 year
right,
old.
you're right, I'm sorry."
Kaki-
Alright.
Kakihana fucking wouldn't know.
Unreliable character 101.
Kakiana's gonna be like, "Oh, really?
"Hey,
I didn't
hey,
know this whole time."
can you, like, come meet me out in the outskirts of town in the weird construction zone where there's gonna be nobody else at 11:30 PM, and can you, like, just bring all your cash, please? Love you. Alright, see you
She
then."
loves me.
Like
She loves me. I'm going. CZ said, "Want to say thanks and support y'all for making my Thursdays and have a bit of fun with it in the process. Plus, I gotta make up for the last CZ pick.
What's
Thank you
up?
so much, CZ. We do appreciate it. That does go to me and Matt. I'm gonna send him some money after this, but thank you. And it makes it fun. I mean, that's
Money.
what we do. It. We watch new anime, and we find some really good ones, and we find some kind of bad ones, but that's okay. That's part of it, and we go on and we keep going. It's so fun. I Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm really happy that we're getting into this anime. I'm glad that y'all are watching, which is really cool, and me and Matt are watching,
This
getting to
one's
talk
fun
about
this
it.
one's fun. This one's fun to just, like, have that puzzle be built in my brain that I wanna just see what the full picture they're trying to build is.
Because we have a ton of puzzle pieces, so many other things. Like I said in the last episode, I think I didn't even know it was a puzzle. People were just putting stuff in front of me, and then they're like, "Put these together," and I'm like, "Oh, here we are. Let's go." So in this next episode, next Thursday, we're going to conclude Odd Taxi 10 through 13, I think.
10 through
10,
13.
10 through 13. Watch Odd Taxi 10 through 13. That's the end of the first season, and we're gonna talk about it, give our thoughts, and we rate it, and we're gonna put it on our anime scale here from S through F. Here's all the animes that we've watched already on the show. If you want to go watch other episodes, if you see one of your favorites, you're like, oh my god, they already watched that. Let me go check it out. It's on YouTube, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman, or on Spotify. Just look up the Jules and Matt Anime Hour, like you see right here or in the title. But yeah, it's super fun. Super excited to see the conclusion of Odd Taxi next week. Matt, when you're not driving around in the Odd Taxi, where can they find you?
You can follow me on my Twitch at Matt_Galley, where I will be live when all the stars line up. You can also find me on any of my socials at ITS Matt_Galley. Just add a little ITS at the front, and you can
Sure.
find me on anything. When we're not here, when we're not here, just ashamed of Kakihana. Where can the people find you?
First, Dan said, "Do y'all have Sword Art Online on your list?" No, we
No,
don't.
it's not on
Here are
there.
all the ones we haven't shown it. It's in the Discord, but here are all the ones that we have on the list. Plus, all we're gonna add the 3 that CZ put in today. Thank you so much, CZ, for the
Reezy.
1500. It is Death Parade, Re Zero, and Erased. So we're
Let's
gonna put
go.
those in there as well. But those are the ones we have right now, minus Odd Taxi, of course, because we're watching that right now. So those are the ones we have. I'm Jules the Human, Jules the Human on all social media, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on X or Twitter. I've been posting a lot of TikToks. If you're not watching them, you should. They're a bunch of gaming stuff. Been posting like 2 a day this past week. So go check out my TikTok, tiktok.com/JulesTheHuman _ I think. Or on YouTube. If you're already subscribed to the YouTube, they're on YouTube Shorts as well. I've been putting them up on YouTube Shorts. But I'm playing Honkai Star Rail tomorrow, and I'm super excited. I'm playing it a lot. Can you prove you're human? No. How would I do that? Do you want me to
Beep boop.
pee on stream or something? I don't know. Nope, sorry. Thank you so much for watching Odd Taxi 10 through 13. We are finishing it next week, so watch those before Thursday. If you missed any of it, watch it on any of this episode. It'll be up on YouTube tomorrow and Spotify and all that. But we'll see you next week.
Bye.